Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. One of the biggest acquisitions of this offseason for the New York Giants was getting tight end Darren Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders, as he's going to add another dynamic to this offense. But one of the main reasons the Las Vegas Raiders were willing to move off of Darren Waller is because of the injury concerns. So in today's video, we are going to be analyzing Daniel Bellinger, the backup tight end on the New York Giants, a guy who looked very impressive in his rookie season. Not only are we going to be looking at him from the perspective that Darren Waller potentially might get hurt, but we're also going to be looking at him from the perspective of if Darren Waller is there the entire season, because in my opinion, he could still have a role. At San Diego State, Daniel Bellinger really was never a significant player there, but he always played a very nice role, not only being an impact blocker in the run and pass game, but also being a very reliable target for his quarterback. This caused the New York Giants in the 2022 NFL Draft to take a shot at him in the 4th round, and he really did play very impressively in his first season for a 4th round tight end. Reliability was the name of Daniel Bellinger's game last season. So in 12 games, he had 30 catches, 268 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Brian Daboll could always rely on him to not only have sure hands and get open in the quick game, but be a very good impact blocker in the run and pass game, just like he did at San Diego State. The most amazing thing about Daniel Bellinger last season for the New York Giants was his catch rate. On 35 targets, he had 30 catches. That is an 85.7% catch rate. That gets him in the upper echelon of not players last year. That puts him in the upper echelon for seasons in NFL history. Now, of course, he didn't meet the required targets to qualify for all-time great stats, but still, 35 targets and 30 catches is still a very decent sample size. For context, guys, the league leader in 2022 for receivers in catch rate per a minimum amount of attempts was Richie James at 81.4% catch rate. So Daniel Bellinger beat that catch rate by about 4 percentage points. Again, that really highlights the reliability in the pass game for Daniel Bellinger and Daniel Jones. In this offseason, Daniel Bellinger really has been putting in the work. Of course, that famous picture of him surfaced, of him looking absolutely jacked, but something I like even more than that is the intangibles that Daniel Bellinger has shown the Giants this offseason and last offseason, really ever since they made that selection in the 4th round. He has talked multiple times about Darren Waller and how he loves that he came to the New York Giants. Daniel Bellinger recently mentioned that he met Darren Waller at Tight End University last season, really tried to pick his brain because he knows he's a unicorn at the tight end position. He aspires to be a Darren Waller-esque player one day. And early on in camp, both tight ends have been reported to not only have very good chemistry, but they've both been reported to be utilized significantly within this Brian Daboll offense. At the end of the day, Brian Daboll's offense is going to be designed around the players, and Brian Daboll knows it would be very beneficial for his offense to not only have Darren Waller out there, but to also have Daniel Bellinger out there. And considering the question marks still at the wide receiver position for the New York Giants, I really would not be surprised to see them utilize that 12 personnel package significantly, especially when they're really trying to tap into the run game with Saquon Barkley. A recent quote I really like out of Daniel Bellinger as well is he basically summed up his role in the offense saying, "I want wins, not targets." So if he's out there for 1 week blocking every single play, and then the next week he gets 5 or 6 targets, 4 or 5 catches, he'll be completely content with an inconsistent role in the game plan as long as they're winning games. So hypothetically, if Daniel Bellinger is the backup tight end for the Giants the entire season, Darren Waller ideally stays healthy the entire season, I still think he will get a solid healthy snap count from a week-to-week basis, but I think his role will be very limited and very inconsistent within the offense. With Darren Waller there, I still think Daniel Bellinger can be a guy who comes in on 12 personnel in the red zone and gets some red zone targets and potentially some red zone touchdowns as well. But I really wouldn't consider Daniel Bellinger a fantasy viable guy unless Darren Waller does get injured. So if Darren Waller ends up missing time for the New York Giants, I really like Daniel Bellinger in PPR leagues. Is he a guy who's going to be getting a significant amount of yards? No, I just don't see the physical talent there from Daniel Bellinger. He kind of reminds me of a slightly out of prime, not quite end of career Jason Witten, but slightly out of prime Jason Witten. A guy that does have deceptive agility release speed and foot quickness in order to get open consistently against guys like linebackers. But at the end of the day, Daniel Bellinger isn't going to breaking these long runs unless it is at the college level, as you can see in one of these highlights at San Diego State. But the last point I wanted to make in today's video, Daniel Bellinger is one of those New York Giants that is vital to the organization, that really embodies the culture and sentiment of the team. I hate to be corny like that, but Daniel Bellinger really reminds me of a guy that would be on the late 2000s Giants team, a guy who's winning to win at all cost, no matter what his role is on the offense. The New York Giants really are starting to build a culture with Brian Daboll that really does remind me of those old Tom Coughlin, Eli Manning teams. And again, Daniel Bellinger is going to be one of those guys that really add to that culture. Thanks for listening, guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you agree with my take that Daniel Bellinger, no matter what, will have a nice role with the New York Giants this season? If you listen till the end of the video, I really appreciate it, guys. Smack that like and hit the subscribe.